Hi everybody, it's Helen here, aka Dirt in the Ground. The reason why my face is not in the shot is because my face is not needed in the shot. I said I would do a tutorial on how to do the stitches. What you're going to need is a pair of false eyelashes, like this. The simpler you can get them, the better. If you have ones that are crossing over and really full, it's going to make it a little bit more complicated. So something like this is really handy, because the more separated out they are, the better. A pair of scissors, a pair of tweezers. If you don't have tweezers, you can use these. You know, they're used for grabbing onto false eyelashes and applying them onto your face. Excuse me. If you want, you can use a palette. I didn't use a palette in the original one I did. I have one stitch here, so there you go. You can see the stitch there just cut out. I used Kryolan 2Plast, which is the skin plastic. Some brushes for applying some colours from the Ben Nye Burn Wheel and the Ben Nye Bruise Wheel, depending on what colours you want to use. And some fake blood, and the fake blood that I used was the Kryolan Fresh Scratch, and this is the light. Now it's made in Germany. All the products for Kryolan are made in Germany, but they are sourced in San Francisco. So all you Americans, don't worry, you can get your products in America. Just like us Irish people, we can get them in, I think it's Wicklow we can get them from. So what you're going to do first is make sure wherever you're applying the stitches to the skin plast, you're going to apply this first. Just make sure the area is clean of any makeup or any products or anything like that. So I'm going to apply it to the back of my hand. So I'm going to take off my ring first, because obviously I don't want to get anything on it. Now this, when you're opening this, it can tend to kind of shoot out of the tube first. It's a bit annoying, because you don't want to waste any product. And this stuff dries pretty quickly, so you want to be able to see, that's what I'm talking about. So just apply it in any old way. And it does smell quite bad. It has quite a pungent smell to it. So there we go. We've got some bumpy skin on the back of my hand. That's going to be the scar tissue for the stitches. So we're just going to let that dry. I'm actually going to blow on my skin. Now if I was doing that in an exam situation, that would be points taken off. And it dries in literally minutes. It dries so quickly. But I'm just giving it a helping hand, so to speak. So what I would recommend applying first for a colour is this deep red from the Burn Wheel from Ben Nye, and you can see it's my most used colour, because you want the skin to look a little bit agitated, because it's had stitches applied to it. So take a nice big brush. I'm going to use this brush here, and you can test in an area just to see if it's dried, and it has. Set nice and quickly, so you can see there how quickly it dries. And just kind of get into the edges there. And just blend it out. You can blend it out with the brush, or you can blend it out with your finger. Sorry, that's the cat in the background. She's not very happy with the weather today. And she's decided she wants to use her kitty litter tray. So you can see there, that's made the skin look a little bit more irritated. I swear she knows when I'm going to do a tutorial, just to make it a little bit more hilarious for me. Thanks, Ziggy. She's a little witch with a capital V. Yeah, you heard what I said. So there you go. You have your scar now, and it's more pronounced because you've made the skin around it look a little bit irritated. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take a smaller brush, this brush here, and I'm going to take this kind of skin coloured colour from the Ben Nye burn wheel, which is opposite this manky yellow colour, and highlight the scar tissue with it. And all you have to do is just run it over it. You can do this very easily with like eyeliners or anything like that, or eyeshadows. You can use a dark red or maroon colour eyeshadow for either side, and you can use a gelatin mixture that I use all the time for stuff like that, and that just gives it a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to pat a little bit more down here and blend it out into the skin. There we go. It gives it a little bit of a sheen as well that scar tissue tends to have. It has a bit of a shine to it. Now, here comes the fun part, applying the stitch. This could go either terribly right or terribly wrong. Now, what you're going to need, Ziggy is making herself known. You're going to need your one stitch. So I have it there on my finger. And I would advise using tweezers, which are much more easier to use. And grab it in the middle rather than on either end. And use it on the curved edge, because stitches tend to curve over a wound rather than the other way around. But on the ends of the stitches, where they tie it, they tend to go upwards. I don't know if you can see that. They tend to go upwards, whereas they go the other way for going over the wound. But wherever you need to apply the stitches, apply a little bit of glue. Now, I couldn't find the glue that I was looking for, so I managed to find some glue. Shorthand. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out because I've never used this glue before and it's completely clear. So I'm just going to apply it on the very middle here, on either side, in liberal quantities. So there. And just place your stitch in the glue and maneuver it around with the tweezer if you need to, and even with your finger. And just let it dry. So usually I would be using a hairdryer at the lowest setting. Don't ever use it on the highest setting. So you have your stitch in place now. This is when the fun part starts happening. Okay, the glue seems to be holding it in place. Now, if you want to make that look a little bit more gross, because obviously that just looks like a black line going over your skin, you can darken it with a little bit of the black from the burn wheel. So you can use the small brush that you use to highlight the area, just use a tiny amount. The Ben Nye products are absolutely amazing because you only need tiny amounts. And just prod it around the hair. You don't want to actually touch the eyelash, because if you touch it, you can move it out of place. And when that happens, it can be very finicky to get it back in place. So just darkened up the area there. Because the Fresh Scratch, it's a brilliant product, but the one that I have is very light, and it doesn't give the realistic kind of consistency of venial blood. And it dries extremely quickly. So you need to be able to apply this extremely quickly. So I'm going to actually use the end of my brush to apply it. And you only need small quantities of this product. But the good thing about it when it dries is you can peel it off, which is quite handy. But it is extremely sticky. It's one of my favorite products. And then you can use the Ben Nye bruise wheel to make your hand just look a little bit more gross. You can add greens, purples, it's like an olive green here, just to make it look a little bit more infected. Just to make the skin look a little bit more manky. Just rub it out with your finger. Because who doesn't like a really gross infected scar? The cat doesn't, apparently. But everyone's a critic. And there you have it, your very own stitch. Now I'm sorry about the poor camera quality, but as you can see, the black from the Ben Nye burn wheel has darkened up the blood, because if the blood is applied, if I just put it here, it's bright red, and there is a difference in the colour. I've actually absolutely mankified my hand now. But this is the brilliant thing about the tube plast, the skin plastic, because you can just do this. Once I get the edge of it, you can just peel it off. It doesn't, like, I can't feel myself doing this. And then you're left with the line that it was placed in. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope that helped you. Get creative with your stitches. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Bye!